Hello YouTube. This is my rental house. It was lived in by a couple that like to collect things, and they were in here during the last couple of years. Probably the last 3 years I've been trying to evict them. In the last couple of years with the pandemic happening and COVID up here, we're in Canada, you can't get them out. So they had some kind of illness. They let their dogs and cats just urinate freely in here. I've stripped up all the click flooring, and I was hoping that was going to get rid of the smell. In the kitchen area, I had linoleum. I took out all the cabinets. There was bugs. I just had to get rid of everything. I stripped all the drywall off. I got to take the drywall off the walls, and I got to take it off the ceilings. There were rodents in there, rodent poop and pee. Living room, same thing. Click flooring in here. I tore it all out, but it still reeks. The worst room was the bathroom in here. The bathroom used to be there. I took it completely out. It was, I think that was their main area of them going to the bathroom for the animals. So it had the square linoleum tiles that you could stick down. So I tore those all off. There was an underlayment. I took that off. And then there was like a 1x6 pine boards, and they were nailed to this joists. And there was probably a 1/4 inch gap between them. Well, when the animals urinated in here, it just seeped right through that. And you can see in here the stains on the wood. I don't know how well you can see that there. That's all the way back. I'm going to see if I can turn on the light down here. Doesn't help much. But anyways, you can kind of see it there. I was hoping that I didn't have to take out the joists. So I've made up a spray. Actually, it's been sitting like this now for about a week and a half. I didn't know what to do. I was going to buy the enzymes that you buy online, Amazon. The problem is, it's up here, they're 50 to $100 a gallon. I can't get some of the better ones. There's 2 to 3 week waiting period. And at $80 a gallon or $100 a gallon or whatever, between 50 and 100 anyways. I don't know how much it would take me to do this whole house. It would be at least 5 gallons because there's an upstairs as well. And it reeks just as bad. So I've come up with something. It's an enzyme I made up myself. I've done some tests at home with it. I've taken pieces of the urine wood here. I've chopped it up in little bits and done tests to see what works best. So I've made up a batch. It's in a spray bottle. I'm going to start spraying in here and see if it kind of helps to get rid of this smell. Because besides that, I don't know what else to do. I'm going to have to tear it right down to the joist. I'm going to take the joists out. Anything with a horizontal surface is going to have to go. But anyways, if there was smell-o-rama and I can put it on the video, it would be unbelievable. But anyways, I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, so this is the wood that I removed from the house in the bathroom area. It's it was like a 1x5 inch, I don't know, pine or spruce style. It was probably built in the 50s. And the wood, this is the pea stain in here now, right there, and there's some there. I cut off a strip already off of this end. That's where this came from, and you can see that it was like totally saturated on each edge of the wood. So they left a little gap, like about a 1/4 inch when they nailed all the wood down. So when the animals urinated on the wood, it would seep between the cracks and go down onto the joists. But anyway, so you can see here how that's a nail there. These nails were all rusted right through it. Like this wood almost came off with your hands. It was so rotten. But you can kind of see how deeply it's gone into the wood there from the edge where I've cut it. And then on the back side, this is where it was sitting on a joist. So you can kind of see how it's gone through and actually it's probably saturated the wood completely through. Now, the mixture I made up,
I'll show you there. I've got a few different samples, but these pieces here were cut off of this, and they were probably more like this because they had the more one on the edge that was really saturated with the urine. And here's one here that still hasn't been cleaned, so it's got the urine on it. So I'm going to show you now that what I did with the samples, just to get an idea of what happened.
Okay, so this is my testing of the strengths that I started with in trying to make this solution of enzymes. The one on the far right here, this one, that one has 10 grams of flour per liter of water. This one's 20 grams of flour per liter of water, and this one was 50 grams of flour per liter of water. Now, the first one here, it's been going about 72 hours. This one here, just a little bit less, probably, I don't know, 60 hours maybe. And this one here, I've changed, this is the second one I've made of this. This one after 24 hours stops bubbling. Now, these ones I didn't clarify as good. I got it, this one here was a weak solution, so it was easy to clear through the filters. This one here, when it starts getting thicker, I'm putting it just through a coffee filter, and some of the flour kind of gets through, so it's in the solution, so it drops onto the wood. You can see it there. Even this one here, some of the solution drops onto the wood. And, you know, there's little floaties floating around, but it's just flour. This one here I clarified better. I made up a centrifuge and spun it. And I thought maybe me spinning it and getting it clearer, it stopped working. But what ended up happening is that the 50% solution actually took out all the salts, and uric acid is actually what it is inside the wood, and it ate it up already. So I tried it with another piece of wood, and immediately it started to fizz. So I'm going to do it again. So over here is my first, this is the one I took out when it stopped fizzing, and I dried it out. Now you sniff this thing, and there's no smell anymore. It's gone, the smell of the urine. And that's after 24 hours. Now here's another piece that has got the urine in it, and I'm going to take that piece out of here, and I'm going to switch it with this one, and I'll show you how it starts to bubble. Because if you look at these ones, even 72 hours later, they're still bubbling. I'll take the lids off. Look inside. You can see it's making the line of the wood at the top, and those are little ammonia bubbles. What's coming off of ammonia and CO2 is coming off of the uric acid, and that's how it's getting rid of the urine smell. It's eating the uric acid, the uric crystals, in the wood, and it's absorbing it and turning it into ammonia and CO2, and then it's dispersing it into the air. Now this one here, same thing. And it's still working. Like even right now, it's still bubbling. Every day I stir it up, and then after, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, the bubbles will come back again. Like I'll stir that up, and we'll see that in a little while if the lines come back. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one out. I'm going to put this other one in, and we'll see if it starts to bubble again. Okay. So there you go. I've changed a piece of wood in this last jar. Here, it's a little fatter, but it's still a urine piece of wood. And these ones were stirred up when we started. Now there's the piece of wood I just took off. This one here, it's still wet. And this is the first one I did. 24 hours, stopped bubbling. I dried it, doesn't smell like urine. This one again, 24 hours, and it made it clean. Like, it used to be the same color as this, that dark, and on the back side there it was, you know, it had like a stains. You know, they're not 100% gone, but oh man, they're pretty clear. So anyways, it looks pretty clean. So there we go. Now, I just put this in. It's been in there maybe a minute. And let's see if we can see anything already. It's starting to bubble, but it's hard to see because they're very small. But it starts to make like a line. And if you see right there, that line, that's actually the bubbles coming off and it's a little line on this side too. It draws like almost like a perfectly straight, like pencil line almost. And it just comes straight up off the wood and it starts fizzing. And right away it starts eating that uric crystals and the urine and urea and all the other stuff in there. And it just starts eating it like instantaneously. So by tomorrow, we'll look at it again in say 20 minutes and I'll see how if we can see the lines better. I can't really get in there good. There we go. You can kind of see it there. And we'll see if the lines look a little bit better. These ones here, I stirred them up just before I did that other one. And the lines have not started to come back. So you know what, we'll give it a half an hour and I'll look at it again and we'll see if the lines start to come back. But really, this one's been fizzing for 72 hours. So the stuff in there is still working. So it hasn't lost the enzymes haven't lost their potency. So they're still, unless I'm running out of, the uric crystals out of the wood. And then it'll stop fizzing. But if I can get some fizzing happening again, then there's still uric crystals inside that wood and it's still eating it. This one here, it's just putting now you can even see it on the outside of the jar. The line is starting to show there. But anyways, we'll check it in half an hour and see how it looks. All right, 1 hour since the last time I was looking at it. So now if you can see, this thing's really going to town now. So you can see how the foam and the activity happening there. So that's kind of cool. And these other ones are starting to come back. I love the way the line, see the two pieces of wood below? They're not exactly on top of each other perfectly. They're on a bit of an angle. So one goes this way and then the other one goes a little bit this way, and same with this one. You see, you can, this one's more pronounced. Then if you look on top, you can see the way the line is being drawn, just kind of like a pencil line, which is cool. And that one there, it's hard to see, but it almost looks like someone drew a line on the top of the liquid of exactly how the wood is sitting below it. But here we are, more than 72 hours, and this enzyme is still working on these two pieces, because this is the weakest of the mixtures, and it's still creating lines. And here we are with this one here. This is a 50 grams per liter, and it's really going to town. By tomorrow, this one will be done. Okay, that's it for tonight. It's Miller time. Okay, so this is my secret ingredient. Not so secret anymore, but it's soya flour. Soya flour contains an enzyme called urine. This enzyme, so I don't know, you're going to say this is crazy. It's flour. It's just soya flour. But the thing is, the soya bean, there's only a few different beans that have a large amount of this stuff called urine. Urine is, it's everywhere. It's in the dirt. It's in tons of different plants. But anything in large enough quantity, you can use it. Well, they use it for medical things, for testing people's urine. And how they test it is the amount of carbon monoxide and ammonia it lets off. They can measure if you've got something wrong with you. So the ideal thing here is that it continues to eat the crystals and create this gas, and eventually that's how it gets the urine out of whatever you're trying to take it out of, the carpet, wood, flooring, whatever. So, and you're going to say, oh, that sounds stupid. But you know what? I went online and I found an old paper from 1916. It's called the urine content of certain beans with special reference to the jack bean. Now, the jack bean is got an extreme amount of this stuff called urine. And if you start looking at it, you can't get it here. I've tried. But if you look it up, it's used, that's the main ingredient for most of the enzymes. If you go onto enzyme sites, that's what that enzyme is mostly made out of, is this jack bean. And this stuff is expensive as all get out. Even trying to buy it on overseas sites, just buying the flour is a ridiculous amount of money. But anyways, this guy did a paper in 1916, and he's Marshall and Mateer, and they worked for some pharmaceutical company at some university, John Hopkins, I think it was. And they figured out that soybean, after about 18 hours in water, that's how they figured this out. They soaked the bean. They would take the soybean, the jack bean, and there's another one called a sword bean, which is similar to the jack bean. They would grind it up in a coffee machine and then soak it in water, and immediately the jack bean and the sword bean has quite a bit of that urea stuff coming out of it. But the soybean, it took a lot longer. So it took like 18 hours before it was about even in the amount of urea that it had. Now, there are a few other beans. I can't remember what these other ones are, but they're a lot less. But the soybean, which is plentiful anywhere in North America, I'm sure you can get this flour anywhere. It doesn't have to be from where I bought it from. You can get it anywhere. Has almost the same amount of urea. So the urea is in the flour. So if you soak the flour in just water, I put it in a 5-gallon pail, and I use it at 50 grams per liter. So a 5-gallon pail will take this whole bag. So this bag is 900 grams approx, 2 pounds. So at 50 grams a liter, my pails hold about 18 liters, is about 900 grams. So I use this bag and I mix it up. And what happens is I will mix it up, and I'll show you how I do it. I'll mix it with water. Then I'll use like a paint stirrer thing, and I'll mix it with my drill. And then every once in a while during the day, I'll mix it up again just so that the stuff stays suspended, the flour, and the enzymes can come out of the flour. And then the next day, so if I do it, let's say 9 o'clock in the morning, the next day at 9 o'clock, it's ready to go, because they say 18 hours, you got full power. Well, after 24 hours, it's fine. So then I strain it through, what I do first is I use a pillowcase, and I put it through into another bucket. And that's how I get most of the flour out of it. Because if you just try to strain it through some filters and stuff, it takes forever. The flour just bungs up all the holes. A pillowcase seems to work fine. You just put a pillowcase and some kind of colander on top of another bucket. And you just slowly throw it in there, and every once in a while just keep throwing in more until you empty one bucket into the other. And then you end up with this sort of, I don't know, this tawny kind of looking colored liquid. And then after that, you can pour it into like 1-gallon jugs. And if you let that sit for another 3 or 4 hours, you'll still get some more sediment at the bottom. But then you can pour it into a sprayer, and that's how you spray it. But I'm telling you, that's all it is. It's this flour mixed with water, which suspends the enzymes, and then you take out the flour part and you're left with the liquid, and you spray the enzymes onto whatever you want the urine smell to go away. And I'm telling you, you know what, I wouldn't believe it unless I did it. And I did it over the last 5 days, and it works. So that's it. So simple. I'm sure that this is what's in most of these disinfectants, or these enzymes cleaners that these companies use for cleaning up urine. They don't tell you what's in it. They tell you that it's a plant-based enzyme. But it has to be a plant-based enzyme that eats uric acid. And the only thing that eats uric acid is the urease enzyme. And that is only available in any kind of good quantity is in, either soybean, jack bean, or sword bean. You can get it other stuff, but it would take a lot more. Anyways, that's it. Okay, so this is day 5 of me spraying on my mixture. I've gone through probably about 8 gallons so far. And after about the first 3 days, so 3 days ago, the smell actually started to go away, or it was getting less. I could notice that when I was coming in the front door here, that even as soon as I opened up that screen door, I'd get a whiff before I opened up the outside door. That's how strong it was. It was coming through the wood door. Not that it's anything good, that wood door, but... So, every day for the last 4 days, I've been coming in 3 times a day. Once in the morning, once around lunch, and then after dinner. And I give everything a shot with my sprayer. And today is day 5, and actually there's no smell anymore. And you know what? It's like a miracle. I don't know how to explain it, but this stuff actually works. There are still some stains on the wood, but I think that might be from those black lines are probably from the rusted nails. I think it's a rust stain. But there is no smell of urine in here anymore. Some of this wood here, I wish I would have took a better picture in the beginning, but in here was like a rodent run, or rats or something. And this stuff had like stains of pee and crap. I swept, all I did to clean it up was I just swept it up, and then I just kept every day spraying the hell out of it. I just kept soaking it down. Same with all these joists. I just soaked them all down because that's where the dogs and cats, I guess, were doing their business the most. This was a bathroom. I also sprayed out the basement. It's just a small like crawl space kind of thing down there. So anything that seeped in here would drip down there. So I sprayed down there as well. And this is the like an entranceway, and it's got a concrete floor. This I sprayed as well 3 times a day for 4 days. Because I know they used to urinate and defecate in here, probably especially by this door. Because when they weren't home, the people, and the animals couldn't get out, I'm sure they did it right, their business right there. Because even after 3 days of spraying, I'd get, as soon as you'd walk in the door, you'd get a little whiff, like the first whiff. But as soon as you walked in 10 feet, halfway in, then it's kind of, the smell is gone. And you know what, honestly, after 10 or 15 minutes in here, you become nose blind anyways. So you really don't know where it is. So you got to basically go back outside, stay outside for 10 or 15 minutes, and then come back inside and then smell. And there was. So this area here, I sprayed probably double the amount every time, just to make sure that the ground was saturated with this concoction. The living room area, there is zero smell in here at all. There is no smell of urine, and there was spots everywhere in here. So I sprayed it all. I circled everything. They're still kind of damp looking. I'm going to give it another shot today. It's lunchtime now, so I'm going to give it one more shot today and tonight. And then I'm going to let it completely dry out and see what it happens. But I think it's pretty good. I'm happy with it. I think I can get away with just painting everything now with some kind of a shellac-based primer, and then start rebuilding. There are some spots where there's crawl spots I haven't gotten into yet. Up in this is an old like log house, actually right there. If you look, if you shine the light on that, that's urine from the rats and stuff running across the ductwork. So I got to rip that one out still. But even with that there, I don't smell anything. So it's freaking awesome. Anyways, so I've been mixing this stuff 5 gallons at a time. I've sprayed about 8 gallons. I got about a gallon left, maybe a gallon and a half. And I'll probably make one more 5-gallon batch to do the upstairs really good as well. And that seems to be the easiest to do it. Mix it in 5-gallon batches. If you got the time, spray the hell out of everything. And not just once. I mean, I sprayed it every day. I kept it wet. Kept putting it on top, and the enzyme just kept eating it away, and now, you know, I know the house is not that great, but it doesn't smell like a barn anymore. And actually, it's worse than a barn. It smelled like a friggin', you stuck your head inside an outhouse. And I mean right in there. So anyways, so this is how I do it here. I'll spray it up and just give everything a good shot.
Let's go. Start over by the stairs. This is the two worst spots. I might even still change this wood, but it doesn't smell, so I'll start there. Just like you're spraying like weed killer or something. Just douse the spots. I sprayed them so many times I know which ones are. I've actually, you can tell anyways, it's got rust on top of the nails, so you know that that's where the urine was mostly, because it really reacts with nails. So I just keep spraying it and let it dry. If there's joints, corners are good too. Spray the corners because they think it's like a tree, so they lift their leg and give it there. There. These were pretty bad spots, but they're almost gone too. It's actually kind of incredible what nature can do if you just can figure it out. Make sure you get a good area there, because you know what, the pee is not just right there. It, you know, it soaks out and around. Some spots I put pencil marks down. Not in too many places though. I should have probably done more. I should have moved this out of the way so I can see. Unbelievable. You can let animals do this and still sit in your living room and watch TV. Have family come over. Nobody says nothing to you. Terrible. And it's not like they didn't have family coming over. Their family came over and, you know, they talked with them, came inside, probably had Christmas and stuff, but nobody says nothing that your dogs are urinating and crapping all over the floor, and maybe it's not healthy for you or the environment or for people coming in. Unbelievable. This was a bad area in here. The washer and dryer were, our washer was in here, not the dryer, but anyways, I'll continue spraying and we'll see what happens.